Following the events of Endgame, the MCU was left as a shell of its former self. Two of its biggest acquisitions had fallen and the world was shaken to its core at the death of Tony Stark and the loss of Steve Rogers as Captain America. The entire world sat there wondering what would happen next. Who would be the next protector that will save them from the dangers of the universe? They looked at someone who they didn't realize wasn't meant for such a task. They looked at someone who was barely even ready to take on the streets of New York, let alone protect the entire world. They looked for a man that could save them from any threat. They looked at a Spider-Man. Hey guys, my name is DJ, and Spider-Man Far From Home showed a world on the brink of collapse. As global defenders and universe destroyers perished, the globe was left wondering, what happens next? They looked off into the distance, believing someone would be there to come and save them. They looked off into the distance, believing somebody new will lead them to safety. When everybody had seemingly disappeared, Earth had been left with really only one mainstream superhero. I mean, just look at the people who survived Endgame and Infinity War. Pretty much every single person was either an alien or left on Earth to do their own thing. They had no time to really focus on protecting the world. Hawkeye most likely went back to his family home. Bucky, Falcon, and James Rhodes probably still hung around with Old Man Steve and didn't do anything but learn from him and mourn Tony. Black Panther is too busy trying to run his country and can't protect the world. Scarlet Witch is mourning the deaths of her friends and loved ones like Vision. Ant-Man and the crew are reuniting together and probably spending time with their loved ones like Scott's daughter. And Pepper is raising her daughter and just lost her husband, so she's busy mourning him. No, the only people who were left on Earth that was ready and willing to continue the fight were Doctor Strange and Spider-Man. And I assume Doctor Strange is out there doing some mystical stuff in secret. Probably out there dealing with the Time Stone and the alternating universe timelines that we have now created. So to the world, Spider-Man is the only one left to protect them. Spider-Man is the only one left to save everyone. The people of not just New York, but the entire world need a hero. The world watched for years as heroes constantly started springing up and protecting them, constantly willing and able to save them. The world is now left following the biggest catastrophe in history as a shell of its former self. But to Peter Parker, the world is terrifying, and the world, trust me, is terrifying. He just watched his mentor, Tony Stark, die, saving the universe. Most likely after really just watching Uncle Ben die, which has been hinted at multiple times in the MCU. He just fought against actual aliens. He just fought alongside actual magicians. Peter Parker, this 16-year-old kid, has just been a part of something that honestly would traumatize even the strongest of adults. Yet following that, when the world looks at Spider-Man, they look at him for guidance. He's the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, yet now it's not just one neighborhood that needs him. Everybody on the planet needs hope. They need insurance. They need to believe that if another Thanos comes around, that they will be protected. But unbeknownst to them, Peter Parker, the hero that they are looking up to, has just been traumatized. Ever since becoming Spider-Man, he has just watched everybody he looks up to die. Hell, he has even felt the cold touch of death firsthand. Remember, Peter was also snapped out of existence, fading away just like how he'd watched his mentors fade out of his life. When he comes back from going face to face with death himself, he goes face to face with the death of his hero. The man who, in Iron Man 2, saved him from his own childhood innocence. The man who would entrust in him to help fight one of the biggest fights in the MCU alongside him in Civil War. The man who would hold him as he died in his arms is gone now. But instead of getting the time to mourn, he is forced to continue the fight. Everybody, even Nick Fury himself, begs this 16-year-old kid to continue fighting. They need Spider-Man at a time when Spider-Man just needs time for himself. He needs time to grieve. They need him when he needs time to be a 16-year-old kid, not a guy who goes around fighting monsters and demons. He came back into a world where all of his classmates grew up without him, and he didn't even get time to process that. He got back up because that's what he was expected to do. And as a fan of Spider-Man, I understand. His best stories, his biggest moments are when he has to get back up and continue the battle, when he has to get back up and win once and for all. But in the MCU, this kid has just become incredibly sad. It's truly heartbreaking seeing this young man following all of these earth-shattering events just beg for one thing. All he asks for is a time to process, a time to heal. When talking to Nick Fury, it is clear that Peter Parker is on the brink of collapse. He has grown to almost resent being Spider-Man. All Peter Parker wants is to be himself. He wants to go back to just being some kid from Queens. A kid trying to get the girl, a kid trying to just live his life without a costume. But he can't be a kid. He has to rise up and be more than that. Tony Stark was an immature yet highly intelligent person who was gifted with the power of becoming Iron Man. Peter Parker, he was gifted by the powers of a spider bite to become more than that. He had help through Tony. He had the morals of Uncle Ben. So Peter, even though he goes through a life of misery and injury, is taught to become something more than himself. He knows he must become something better. He decides to fight through the pain and lifts himself up every single day to become something more. Peter Parker, he's no longer the kid from Queens. He's the hero Earth looks up to. He's the man that battles every day, saving themselves from their own battle. He is no longer a boy because he doesn't get that chance anymore. He's a man of misery, sure, but he has to look past that because in the end, he is more than a man. He is Spider-Man. Anyways, that's gonna have to be the end of this video here. Did you guys like it? Let me know in the comments below. If you want to see more of my over-analytic and dorky content, why not check out this video here? And while you're staring at this outro screen, why not click this little subscribe button? Anyways, hope you have a good day, and I'll catch you later. Bye-bye! Yo.